Let's go live to Liberal Senator Dave Sharma. Senator, thanks for your time. You've had about a week to think about it. Where do you start in terms of the rebuild? I know it's not an easy time for many in the Liberal Party, but you've been around it for a while and you've been around politics for a long time. What do you need to do?
Well, I think firstly we need to do some pretty deep dive analysis, Kieran, about the feedback we got from the ground, what the results in individual seats tell us, how that squares up with our polling, what our candidates tell us, what our members tell us, what our volunteers tell us. We need a few more seats to be decided, but I think it's only really once we dissect effectively our loss and where it was most profound, where swings were greatest, which demographics they were greatest in, can we start the task, if you like, of rebuilding. So I think the most important task is to understand the nature and the reasons of our loss and then proceed from there. And that's going to take a bit of time.
That's going to take a bit of time, absolutely. And as part of the process now, you've got to land on a new leadership team. Have you got any preference at this point that you're willing to share?
No, not that I'm willing to share, Kieran. Look, I think I've got respect for all the known candidates who put their hands forward in this race. I think, though, look, the task is obviously a large one, and whoever takes it on will need to be able to unite the party behind them. I think make all use of the talent that we've got across the party room, and make sure they are honest with themselves and with us and with the public about where our shortcomings have been and what we're going to do to address them. There's no sort of glossing over the size or the significance of this loss, and there's no pretending there's some sort of quick or easy fix or a silver bullet.
On some of the policies, nuclear is one that's been raised. Do you think it should stay, go? Have you got, again, anything that you'd share publicly at this point on that issue? Because it was a big gamble. It didn't pay off. But some would say that the opposition should have gone in harder and owned it, as opposed to just announcing it and leaving it almost as a second-tier issue after doing that.
Well, look, I'd say, as a matter of course, all of our policies should be up for review and discussion and new scrutiny. That doesn't mean that we're going to abandon them all, but nor does it mean we're going to keep them all. But we need to have a fresh set of eyes on them. With energy policy in particular, look, you've got to remember that whatever policy we construct, the energy market will be 3 years further down the road than it is today. So what might have made sense in 2025 is not necessarily going to make sense in 2028. And we shouldn't allow ourselves to be boxed in now to developing policy for 3 years hence. Nuclear, though, I mean, at a personal level, I remain agnostic about nuclear energy. That is, I'm quite prepared and quite happy to see it in our mix. We're going to have nuclear-powered submarines. We do already have a small nuclear industry based around medical isotopes at Lucas Heights. I don't see a good reason why it should not be part of our energy mix. But clearly, one of the more difficult parts of the policy to sell was how the federal government would be funding, owning and operating these assets. And that's obviously a large and substantial undertaking, and it was what Labor weaponised most closely. So I think, that I think should be reviewed, and other parts of the policy as well. But, I think we will want to be offering a realistic energy policy that brings down emissions over time, but is not so headstrong or ideologically blinkered that it's going to introduce volatility or price uncertainty into our power system.
Yeah, indeed. So maybe something where the ban might be lifted as part of the platform, and so still holding open that option if the technology proves viable and effective and commercial. But anyway, yeah, up for review, you say. And as for the move from Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price from the National Party room to the Liberals, it's caused a bit of angst with the junior coalition partner, the Nats, particularly after they performed so well and the Liberals struggled, Senator.
Look, I think that's right. I think, they feel blindsided by this decision, and I can understand their feeling. This isn't really an issue for me to comment on. This is between Jacinta Price and her erstwhile Nationals colleagues, of course. But I can understand their reaction.
Can I ask you just finally, how, as a political party, we started off with, where to from here, but given the nature of this win, given the size of it, and we saw the caucus up, it's over 90, 91 seats thus far, how do you and, the next generation of Liberal leaders, and I say that in broad terms, as hopeful cabinet ministers into the future, how do you maintain the morale, the focus, the ambition and the drive?
Well, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, I don't think it would be naive of me to pretend otherwise. But I think if we show that we are being honest in our reflections and in our analysis about what went wrong and the failings of our campaign and policy offering and strategy and positioning more broadly, we show a willingness to learn from our mistakes and to correct our mistakes, and we show a willingness to, look at everything afresh. I think that will give people encouragement, be it our members, be it candidates, be it potential voters and supporters in future, that at least we are still prepared to do the work and make the changes necessary to be a competitive opposition. And I would say, yes, government doesn't look like an immediate prospect, but the electorate is more volatile in Australia, I think, than it was a generation ago. And it is our duty as the opposition to be a competitive opposition that can hold the government to account. Australia is better governed as a result of a strong opposition, and much as we might have, feel sorry for ourselves and lick our wounds for a while, we need to go about making sure we become that political force once more.